Hey everybody, it's 586 week number 7. So, this week mostly focused on the flipped classroom model. There's a few other things, let's get those out of the way nice and quick. Um, your assignment that is posted on the week 7 module is actually for week number 8, right? The flipped classroom signature assignment. And if we go back one, you'd actually go back one on my page. The week 6 assignment in the week 6 module, assignment number 6, that's due at the end of this week. So assignment 6 due at the end of week 7, and assignment 7 due at the end of week 8. All right, so that assignment number 6 from week 6, your educational technology grant group project, you have been working on that this past week. That is due this coming Sunday. That one is pretty straightforward, so I'm going to leave that. I talked about that in the last week's video. As we look at the content for week 7, the discussion board is right in line with the topic of the assignment. You know, your ideas about teaching with the flipped classroom, what do you want to do for your students, if another teacher's tried it, all that kind of thing. The idea about it, and I see that a couple of you jumped on like right away, first thing Monday morning. The idea has a lot of promise and a lot of flaws. I think a lot of the videos that you're going to see talk about this in terms of like, what an amazing model. And I think we hit that point with video watching and uploading, bandwidth wise, like infrastructure wise, that some teachers realized, hey, we can actually like record videos, and that is doable to like record, edit, publish in a way that just wasn't possible before, right? And then people could watch these videos on these things called smartphones or on computers at home. Like access kind of hit this tipping point, this critical moment where suddenly like being able to watch videos and expect students to be able to watch videos for the most part, right? Like giant asterisk there, because that assumes a lot of privilege and a lot of access. It hit kind of this tipping point. So there's for sure this moment when it was like, flipped classroom is amazing. Um, I think that it, among many strategies, is amazing. I think the idea of let's look at this as though we've never taught before, kind of this fresh eyes, fresh perspective, and like, what's our best use of class time and what's our best use of home time. If we look at all of that, then there are times when actually watching this video at home is a good use of homework, particularly with something like math. I think math is where you've seen the most success with the flipped classroom model, um, because there's an expectation amongst, I mean, math teachers, students, parents for sure, administrators, kind of all the constituents that like good math instruction looks like daily math homework. And there's actually a lot of flaws with that thinking, and there's quite a bit of research that actually shows that like daily homework is not beneficial. That's not what today's soapbox is about. But if we just kind of take those beliefs, know that they're real, and notice that of all the subjects, math in particular is one where if math is hard or advanced, right, whatever advanced means to you, then people tend to say it is good, right? So, like, all kinds of issues with that. Again, we're going to sidestep those. So, just taking that premise that, like, people think good math instruction is daily homework, what do you do for your homework, right? So, having kids actually learn the lecture at home and then practice and make the mistakes in class actually makes a whole lot of sense. The way I always did math, and even through high school, I think I finished my senior year was in calculus. It was like copy notes from the teacher on the board during class, do a cut like 3 sample ones together, and then do an hour and a half of homework that night in math. And either I got them all right, got most of them right, or I got them all wrong. It tended to be pretty binary. It was either like completely got it right, no problem, in which case, really, what's the point of the homework if you got it all right, or like really completely missed it, and I've practiced an hour and a half doing it the wrong way. So with the math instruction, being able to actually lay it out and like learn it at home, and then that teacher is there for that just in time. Whoa, you're 5 problems in, you're completely wrong. Or actually be able to actually talk about it and go like, why are we learning this? How does this impact anything in my life ever? How would you actually use this as a person with a job that requires calculus? Traditionally, and certainly in my case, I never got any of those answers. It was just like copy what's on the board and then just copy and paste, copy and paste style. Like I know how to do this. I figured out the steps and the algorithm and the workflow. I don't know what it means. I don't really understand why I'm doing it, but I know how to like replicate what I copied from the board. So I think that if that is what a class is, then the flip model is a really good solution for that. If there's things that you want to check, right, and you're doing homework, again, there's lots of reasons to not do homework. But again, sidestepping kind of that that hole we could jump into and talk about for hours. How you would, like 10 minutes in, you're just like, and we're done watching Bill. Um, but assuming that you're doing homework or that you have to do homework or you want to, um, what is the use when they can learn a thing at home and then practice with you? I think that's really like where we see it, about 10 years later from when the flipped model became really kind of solidified. I don't think it's good for most cases. And, it's one of those where some people love it. It tends to be high school math teachers, but some people love it and they're like, flipped classroom all the way. And I tend to respond with yes, and this is one of many, many tools. In a similar way that it's like, just hang on, I have this awesome thing. Hang on. Have you seen this tool? This is a pen, right? Like, have you met those people that are just like, oh my gosh, like a pen all the time, only a pen with my students in my classroom? Like, I don't think so, right? Like, it's one tool of many tools, in a similar way that like headphones might be really, really helpful, that like this microphone might be really, really helpful. Just it's I think one of many things. And what I'm hoping is coming across in this course is that by taking a dive into the flipped classroom model in week 7, you'll get a good feel for where it does and doesn't fit, and it becomes one of those tools that you can add to your tool belt as an innovative educator and can use it when the time calls for it. In a similar way that video cameras are great for sometimes, podcasting is great for sometimes, songwriting is great for sometimes, writing a play is great sometimes, writing a 5-paragraph essay, maybe not 5 paragraph, writing an essay is good sometimes. Multiple choice quizzes are good sometimes, right? It's like the right tool for the right job in the right way. And I think flipped lands pretty solidly in that for me these days. It's not a catch-all. I think so many people were all in on it for a long time. And I'm hoping that that's faded a bit. So as you watch these videos, as you look at what flipped is, as you respond on the discussion boards, I wanted to leave you with that to give you kind of some context about what that looks like. Because the idea is really cool. It's also one of those where if we take just one step back, and I'll leave you here with this, and then we'll look at your final assignment. If we take a step back, it's really like, why do we spend time doing the things during the school day that we do? Why do we do that? And so, like, the lecture doesn't have to be during the school day. The lecture maybe actually doesn't have to happen. Maybe it's inquiry, maybe it's jumping right into some guided practice and then pausing it and saying, like, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Anyone have any guesses? How does this fit into, like, our bigger essential questions of this class we're taking? There's so many different ways that you can spin stuff. And if you take a step back, if you've been a fan of the Malin Hunter 7-step lesson plan, it was do these 7 steps in this order. Always started with the same thing, always ended with the same thing. But what if you could mix and match that? What if you get to do like 3 steps at once with technology? You get all the kids, if we think back to the collaborative assignment that you were doing like in Google Maps, could that actually be direct instruction plus checking for understanding at the same time? You know, like there's really interesting ways to kind of mix and match this, where you can break up the traditional tried and true lesson plan with the intro ending with the closure. Technically, you always start with the intro, but you know, like that anticipatory set doesn't have to be at the beginning. You can jump right in with the thing, and I think that's what the flipped classroom is starting to get at. So, you know, this is my challenge for you. I think to start to question some of the things that you haven't questioned in your classroom instruction, and start to look at what's actually best for your students and how do you actually do the right things in a particular thoughtful, innovative way, not just during a particular lesson, but also like in class and at home. I think that's really where you're going to find the strength of the flipped model. So, with that, let's look at assignment number 7, your signature assignment, the flipped classroom. This is due Friday of week 8. As a reminder, everything in week 8 is due Friday by midnight. You are going to create either 2 short videos or 1 long video. I would recommend to you to make 2 short videos. If you do the short one, it's going to be 3 to 6 minutes each, and you're going to teach a skill, teach a concept, you're going to teach a thing. If you do one, you're going to create it, and it's going to be about twice that long, right? 7 to 12 minutes. And so you're going to, depending on, just take a look at, you can read the Google Doc. I'm not going to explain all those things. There's lots of ideas of what you can do. Some great things by Catlin Tucker. Jennifer Gonzalez from Cult of Pedagogy has the in-class flip, right? It was just like a new revision of it. And there's lots of tools that you can use for screencasting that'll walk you through what to do. For this, I'm actually using just QuickTime Player to talk with you, and my built-in camera wasn't working. I'm pointing it right now, so I'm actually using my phone as the camera, which is great. There's a bunch of different options. I even know our high school principal just uses Zoom and just records himself talking and screen shares that way. Like that, kind of any of the above works. There's also a link in assignment number 7 in the Google Doc to a HyperDoc. If that is new to you, it's worth clicking around and exploring. A couple good friends, mostly led by Lisa Highfill, ran with that. The idea of it, the HyperDoc actually started from a lunch that Lisa and I had at Spring Q in Palm Springs a while ago. And the idea that I was sharing is that actually every Google Doc is a website. And why do we think about it like a document, like that's saved in, you know, Microsoft Word or something, where actually like it has a unique URL. And so if we think about a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, Google Slides, maps, drawings in terms of websites, like this is a website because it has a unique web URL, that can start to really change how we use these tools. And Lisa took that and went on to like dinner with a couple of their friends, and then ended up coming up with HyperDocs, which is super cool. And the idea being this doc can link to that doc, can link to that doc. And they've gone really, really deep and really have some sound pedagogy around that. Yeah, so if you've not dug into that, like they've really fleshed out that idea, and it's really cool stuff. It's a great way to bring in some flipped learning, because it can take you from just like a Google Doc with like what your assignment is actually, just like here's some links to stuff, and it can actually be like, think of a Google Doc in terms of a website, right? Changing the color, getting rid of the margins, adding more images, doing like tables that are invisible, so then you just have kind of 6 colored rectangles with an image and directions and links, and those links can link to other Google Docs, which can link to YouTube videos, which can link back to the Google Doc, which can then link to a Google form to submit. There's so many ways you can spin it. It's worth taking a look at for sure. You definitely want to upload your video, I recommend, to YouTube, and you're going to link to that. You're going to submit the link to Canvas. Make sure you're also submitting the link of your assignment, and then you're going to write a lesson plan for me, or for the course, not just for me, a lesson plan for the flipped classroom video, right? So you're going to knock out a whole lesson plan, maybe using the Understanding by Design template, maybe not, and just take a look at the rubric, and that'll get you to the finish line. So with that, happy week 7, everybody. Reach out as you have questions, and I'll talk with you later.